Amandla! Amandla! Oliver Tambo! Oliver Tambo! Teta Robota! Oliver Tambo! Oliver Tambo! Teta Robota! Kulumanela Sobota! Kulumanela Sobota! Kulumanela Sobota! Oliver Tambo! Oliver Tambo! Teta Robota! Kulumanela Sobota!
Good morning, gentlemen. Bra Charles Makubu and Bra Titi Mtenjane.
Morning,
Morning.
Morning, thank you.
47 years ago, there was something that happens, and this event actually shook the world. Could you reflect for us on how the system was run at that time, and what you felt is very important for the young generations today to know?
Well, during that time, I think the belief of the system itself was that a black person is not going to be asked or consider what he wants. It was the issue that the Bantu education system imposed on the people, and whether how it went through, they had no interest to know how they wanted, how we feel about it. So they imposed the education. They imposed even how we have to live it. Schools were divided. If we remember, it was the finality of the apartheid system where even our schools were divided in languages. They will say even the location was divided in where the system of the homeland system. They will say there's a Pedi, Zulu schools and all. That was the system itself, how it divided. It was.
So you mean divided to whole?
Schools were divided according to the languages, our languages, that they will say there's a Zulu schools, Pedi, and the way the system itself projected the country, what they wanted to run the country, because they were already working how the homelands. For us, for the place for a black person to be in the urban area, he was there to come and work. He is not supposed to be there actually. He have to be at the homeland where he belongs. Here is a white system, is a white area. We are here to work. So even the schools were divided in that way. Now, what shocked them is how that system didn't work. Because as the people here, they mixed. And even the schools, people became united in how that system, the divide and rule that they thought that it will take place, didn't work. Is how in the schools went in that way.
Would you echo what Brother Mtenjane is saying, Brother Charles, where you also divided? I guess you are from different language background, or do you speak the same language per se?
Well, we don't speak the same language, but politically we speak the same language.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'll concur in what was saying. I think what was happening is that, as I think you actually brought in divide and rule. They were actually to make sure that, all those who are Pedis, there's a school and you want to travel, if maybe, let's assume you're staying in Mofolo North and
Yeah.
you're a Pedi and you're not even supposed to be there, because they'll make sure that if you are a Pedi, then you must actually then in a way stay in Naledi or stay in Tladi. So then you have to travel. So they were making sure that they were actually monitoring whatever that you were doing, how we're actually supposed to live. So to make sure that they separate, groupings, because they knew that there were those groupings which were stronger, were more influential to others. So they make sure that they don't actually mix. So it was very, very difficult to live during those times, because you had to live a certain way and at the same time comply to their policies and everything. So as black people, we didn't have lives. I mean, we were still young, but we could see how our parents were actually living and, moving forward. So the system at the time, this was properly planned, so that a black person does not actually grow.
I would touch on this, and following that, what was the importance of a uniform for you? You were children, 1976, as you can see there. You were children. Were you wearing a uniform, or were you gangsters? Because we saw you walking in the street and the police shooting at you as if you were gangsters. What were you claiming for? And what was the importance of were you in uniform while you were walking in 1976? 16 June, isn't it?
Yes, we were in uniform. And it's so funny, because that is when then we started to respect the identity of different schools. Because when we actually converged together, it was not where do you come from. We just look at you are from a school. You see a uniform, this is my mate, this is my partner. That's how it is. So uniform is very important, because it gives uniqueness, and also it is actually assist you to understand that you belong somewhere. And belonging, sense of belonging, it's a very good feeling that I belong somewhere. Even if maybe you were traveling, let's assume I was actually staying in Mofolo North, and I traveled to Zondi, and I see one of...
Where were you staying at that time?
I was staying in Mofolo North in Soweto. So if maybe I'm in Zondi, I would see, this, I would say, oh, it's from Naledi High, or it's from Morris. And, at times when, when we're moving forward, we'll also think about sport. We were talking about the players who came from different schools, because even teams use the schools to actually, get players from, like Chomoson. Most of the schools wanted Chomoson because he could play. They'll want him to come and actually attend that school. Kezam Taung. Schools were fighting over those people. So, and besides that, there are also politicians, behind the scenes who want to make sure that we need this player for our team, so that, when you have that kind of a player in your school, then you've got crowds. Then that is how they'll come and actually talk, with the masses. And then they'll only do that where there are school kids. And why school kids? They'll be in uniform.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to that. What is your reflection on the uniform and the identity of that uniform that you are so much proud of? Which school were you at that moment?
I was at Morris.
Oh, okay.
Well, the school uniform became, it was identity of the school community. I would say the school community because we became a community when you wear a uniform. During those years, a uniform, it was identity. Identity that this is a student. And even when you're past a student in the street, you'll see with a uniform. Now, even if he's not belonging to your school, but once the uniform, and I see anyone touching our female students, let's say that, during the week or during the school hours, I'm telling you, is how we protect one another as a community of students. There were gangsters during those years. People who were not working, others gangsters. But no gangster, no one. I can't stand there, not a student, and stop a student. And then we passed only. It was a community. So the uniform, it was identity of a community, a certain community. You can't, is how we respected that uniform, because you will not misbehave. You're not going to go to the beer house during school hours with a uniform.
But today it's happening, so where did we go wrong?
Well, I will say, I think we take too much of the democracy in things, because in our time the uniform was we respected that identity. We took ourselves very serious. We respected that we will not. You were not going to go in the shebeen, and then others we passed on just like that without. Even the person who's in the shebeen will not allow you. Our parents were not going to allow you to go in that thing. I think where we went wrong is to move away from that umuntu ngabanye abantu. The community itself. Because as I was saying, that students were a community. You were not going, as Charles is saying, you don't pass anyone just on the road to say, no, I don't care about this person. We care because we're a community. We care, that unity was there. That a concern became something that we say you can't do certain things and then do them in this way. That was, community. We were a community that we find ourselves. Today, people, they can mark you. Other one is passing. Now that community, Ubuntu,
Unity.
is the unity itself, the community, because that we were not going to pass you. Anyone will not mark us. That is, even though at night when somebody will scream, the community will wake up and want to know what is happening. So I'm saying that unity of knowing each other, of coming to be that thing, that's what makes us to come together and to do what we're doing.
Thank you, Bratiti. I would like to reflect on these 76. As you can see there, it's 76. What happened during that day? Because we're talking about education here. What ignited you? What brought your mind? You are part of the event, I'm sure. I don't know. You're going to tell us now more. You are part of that event, part of the preparation. Is it something that happened overnight? You woke up, you rock up at the school in 1976 in the morning, and then you say, oh, let's walk on the street and fight this Bantu education. We're reflecting in the hall with the students. Or what happened, Brashal? Were you part of the event? Just in few words, tell us exactly how the preparation was, and I will give you 2 minutes each to reflect on the education and the struggle of that day, and we'll touch base on that image as well, as you didn't have much time to reflect on that picture. Both of you can reflect on the picture as well. And I'm not sure, have you ever met before, or is this the first time, or you have met long time ago? Let's get this story together.
We know each other very well. It's so coincidental because his sister married a very close friend of mine. And together we actually became a family. I know the family very, very much. So we have met.
But you didn't know that you're going to meet him today?
No, I didn't know I was going to meet him today. And it's a pleasure meeting him anyway. So I think that is actually basically our history. We know each other. And so coincidentally that also we share, this struggle, on a different fronts. His family has been very, very, involved in this. And on the day when this thing was happening, personally, I must be honest, as I've said earlier, my brother Mbuyisa Makuba was not an activist. I was also not an activist, I was running a small business at school. I was still at school, but I was selling,
Wow.
Sell meat pies. And at the time, the cans, cold drink, we used to call them groovy. I was selling those, and eggs,
Yeah,
I was making money. I was supporting my family. And Mbuyisa was in a way, start taking some of these things and selling them,
Was he your elder brother or your younger brother?
No, elder brother.
Elder brother.
Yes.
And you also had another brother, and my condolences. with
Yeah, he
his-
passed away.
Passed from
Yes,
the mayor.
yes,
So sorry
yes,
to hear
yes,
that.
yes.
I'm sure you're still grieving.
Yes, the mayor passed on, unexpectedly. He just became sick I think 2-3 months, and then he passed on. Just during the time of the COVID, Yeah, but anyway, coming back to this, on the day I was not part of, as I've said, I've never been an activist. I'm a businessman, I've started when I was still at school, and at one stage I actually even wanted to go to university. I wanted to attend at Wits, but they actually blocked me. I even wrote to the Minister of Education at the time requesting permission, and they actually didn't actually approve my application. That's how we're fighting, but I was fighting it on a different front, but I was not involved. And when this thing happened, I was told when I go to school, I just dropped off from Mbuyisa in Orlando, because he was actually attending a school in Orlando. I was in Mufulo North. So when this thing happened, I think they were very, very strategic, because nobody knew what was going to happen. When we got to the school in the morning, Mr. Tenjan didn't tell us what was going to happen. And we just go to school and we're told, no, there are no classes today. Everybody were marching. And others didn't know what marching for.
What are you marching for?
What are you marching for? But then we actually went.
Maybe let's bring him in that, because he was part of the movement.
Yes.
Can you tell us exactly how it was cooking there? It was hot.
Well, yes, well, the issue of the Africans to become a media of instruction, it was already the fire was boiling quietly, because the schools in Pefeni went on strike around April, and then even the junior secondary school there. So the schools, this issue of Africans becoming media of instruction, that the minister was coming through with it.
Who was the minister at that time?
Botha, I think. Yeah, it was J.P. Botha, I think. But the issue of education already on the strike itself, we believe that the government believes that this is not going to happen. Anyway, they never thought that this will come to what it did to us. It took them by surprise, because even the teachers have raised the concern on the issue of education, going that route of teaching in Afrikaans, all the syllabus in Afrikaans, half with English. And January, February, March, April, when the students went out in different schools raising their concern, they dismissed the whole thing. It was not an issue for them.
How were you at that time?
We were very young. I think I never checked myself. Maybe it was.
Was it grade 10, grade 9?
No. About because I was already on second. I was in the high school then by that time. About 16 or somewhere there. But they never took this thing very serious. And we met on the 13th of June at DOCC.
What is DOCC?
Is DOCC in Orlando?
Orlando, it was.
What they call it? Don't I go to, but DOCC will check what it was saying. But it's a community hall. We used to meet there. Well, the boxing was happening there. It's a community not far from the police station of Orlando again. We met there on the 30th of June. We reflect on issues around the strikes that were taking place under SASM. On that meeting, we agreed to elect an action committee that will coordinate. Now, because this was happening different in different schools, strikes were rising and all students were taking. So we said, no, the committee which was elected to, Tsietsi became a chairperson of that committee. With the executive, Sibongile Mkhabela and Bongi, the only lady in that committee actually. This committee, it was the meeting attended by different high schools reps, but not all reps were there. Representatives from different schools, not all of them they were there. But it's where that decision to say, let's coordinate a march that we must show this, that is not only these few schools that are raising this problem. This is all of us. Let's bring this thing together and express our feeling about this march. That is how the plan were done. On that day, we agreed on that planning of such a march.
Bratiti and Brad Charles, I'll bring you on board, but does the name of Ndabambi Mtenjande ring the bell for you? Who's that guy?
Ndabambi.
Dababi.
Ndabambi.
Dababi.
Ndabambi. Ndabambi. Well, the meaning of Ndabambi is bad news.
Bad news, yeah.
In English, bad news. No, Ndabambi is my father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which role did he play at that time?
Well, my father played a role that these are the elders that when the student goes to them, they will give them a hearing. That is why when on that day, when things turn in Soweto, many students tend to go there, and then the house, it was open for them. It became
was the headquarters of the...
It became a headquarter because all of us, all the students, it was a house for everyone. So it took since it took that position in the family, even if when we were not even there, the house was used by every person. That's why even the new ones under COSAS, they even went there. Everyone until today, the house has been open since then to become a house for everyone to assist and what.
It's a home.
It's a home for everyone.
It's a home for everyone.
Yeah.
I would have loved to be here with you the entire session and unearth this part of the history, but I also know that you were part of the art, part of the sports. You touched a little bit on that, and I know you were a player. could you reflect on your time as a player and what sports played as a whole at that time, and the music, we know Mama Africa, and you'll reflect on that so that we've got the 3 or 4 minutes left for us to wrap up on that and think about the last word for this session.
Well, on my side, I didn't play much, but I then ended up unearthing players like Dr. Kumalo, and I was involved eventually. I bought shares at Morocco Swallows, and I actually was owning 10% of the club before it was relegated. So how we used the football was actually to assist the struggle. They will have their meetings, and some of will in a way organize friendly games between Pirates, Morocco Swallows, Kaizer Chiefs, so that there could be the masses, and then they'll come and actually talk to them, But football played a very, very important part, in terms of the struggle itself, because we'll actually, if maybe the ANC would like to have, a rally in Bloemfontein, we'll organize a game with Bloemfontein Celtics, and people will be there, and then, then that is where they'll actually then address people, during the game, or even before the game. And, police, we used to actually try to monitor this, but we'll have a way of actually, outclassing them and making sure that this thing happens, and, people get the message if something's going to happen, and, so that's basically what actually sport actually played a part here. Yeah.
Titim Denjane, art was important, but I also want to get back a little bit about education. You were at Robben Island. How come you are so literate, educated? You're in a prison. For me, I think when somebody is in a confinement, that's the end of it. So can you reflect on art and music, how it played a role?
Well, I think even in Robben Islands we used to have activities around art, sports, and poetry and all that. Art played a role because, as Brother Charles is saying, through art you communicate with people, and through art we use poetry, because that is a revolutionary. You see, you can see even Bob Marley played that music, the reggae and all that. It kept us moving, I can tell you. Miriam Makeba, music, all those African, Brahu and all that. Gwangwa, they played a role. Around music's express. The music always express the feelings of the people, the time, and what are the challenges. Through music, you can even read the message that comes. That is why even a lot of records that we played during that time were clear, that give the period and the thinking of the people. Even in Robben Island, we had the sports. We had summer games that we come together.
No, I think I will invite you for another session, but given what is going on now in our country with these issues about, I don't call that xenophobia, but I call it Afrophobia. I don't call it Afrophobia, I call it philophobia. Can you reflect about your time in 1 second, 2 seconds, how you went not abroad, elsewhere on the continent? Because 1976, many people exiled, and they were exiled like the Balala Moyeni, Tete Mashinini. What was important for you to go across the continent and share the message?
Well, I think they respond, I can say they respond the role of Africa itself in our struggle and in how we find ourselves different areas in Africa. the history of South Africa is a different one. I can say we don't know it, as maybe we are lazy to go on it. But South Africa has been built by different people from different countries. Even the African National Congress was not formed by only South Africans. That is why the Zambians were there. The Treasurer General of ANC was Nkobi. He was a Zimbabwean. Now you find that that time, that's why even the song of the Nkosi Sikelel, it sang different countries in Africa, because it's how Africa was all. Now it tells you that South Africa is one country that I can tell has been built by different nations around it. Even our people, the history itself tells you we come from up downwards. Now, even the economy of South Africa has been built by different nations itself.
No, I'm sure that we can spend the whole night here and talk about this beautiful country. In one word, each of you, I would like you to tell me this session that you have had this morning at our school, Sacred Heart College. As I said earlier on, it played a great role during the struggle time. Unfortunately, it falls in oblivion today, but we're trying to reunite that flame that Sacred Heart played in that time. In one word, how did you feel in this institution? Bra Charles and Bra Titi.
Well, personally, I'm very honored to be here. And also, you know, I think I need to research more about Sacred Heart. You know, I think it played a very important role in our lives, but I would like it to continue. You know, as a family, we are actually anticipating of actually getting into institution, you know, where we would actually assist, because we see that the June 16 philosophy has actually lost the meaning. It's like an event, you know, now. It's no longer, you know, what it's supposed to be, you know, a learning curve that this is where this is how actually what this happened. Where should we take it forward? I think there's a future, but I think for us to do that, we need to have Africa to unite, because it's not about only South Africa, it's for everyone in Africa, the continent.
Thank you very much. Bra Titi?
Well, what the team in Sacred Heart, where we are, I think if we can replicate what they are looking at to do in our schools, in the locations, in the townships, that we plant this seed of what is Africa. We have seen the role that we are here in Sacred Heart, what they are trying to do to make our own leaders tomorrow to understand what is this continent is all about. And then if we can do that and start doing that in our own location schools, where our own children can see the history of how Africa is all about and how we can embrace Africa, because unity is a strong weapon for us to win the battle.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. We thank you on behalf of the leadership of Sacred Heart. We really thank you. We're honored by two legends that played a great role in the history of this continent. Thank you. Ngabonga, Kalebora, Siabulela.
Thank you.
Level clock!